Before the music, before the masks, there was a warrior. Over 300 years ago in coastal Ghana, Europeans built Fort Fredericksburg after promising locals their people would not be sold into slavery. To protect trade and the land, they relied on a powerful leader, John Toni, a fearless local warrior who united the Ahansa, Nzima, Wassa, and the Ashanti people. His army grew strong, and his influence shook the coast. In 1712, on 25th December, he did the unthinkable. He attacked the British slave fort and destroyed its gunpowder, protecting his people from future attacks. But betrayal came. The fort was secretly sold to the Dutch. When John Toni found out, he took it back and defended it for 7 years. Enemy attacks failed. His resistance became legend. His story crossed the ocean, inspiring festivals in the Caribbean known as Jankanu. Today in Ghana, the same spirit lives on through the masquerade or the Ankos festival, as they say in Takrady. This is not just a celebration. This is history, resistance, and freedom still dancing in the streets.
Masks from the African continent are some of the most recognizable visual forms in the world.
But in the original context, they were made to be worn, danced, activated in ceremony through masquerade, music, and community.
We're taking you across the continent to see these masks in the way they were intended.
We've already spoken about the Gribo second face mask from southeastern Liberia and the Soweyi helmet mask of the Sunday Society.
Today, we're moving further south to Angola, Zambia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo to explore a Chokwe mask known as Mwana Pro.
Have you seen this mask before? This is a Mwana Pro mask, part of a Chokwe tradition known as Pro, which honors founding female ancestors.
The Chokwe trace descent through their mother's lines, so representation of women carry particular significance. Pro embodies ideals of feminine beauty, dignity, and ancestral authority.
Look closely and you'll see almond-shaped eyes, a slender nose, and carved facial markings. These scarification patterns reflect beauty and identity, and the central cruciform on the forehead is often read as a cosmogram.
The carved hairstyle signals maturity and status. In some examples, you also see filed teeth, once considered a marker of beauty. Although Mwana Pro represents the ideal young woman, it's carved by men and performed by men.
Mwana Pro appears during boys' initiations, marking the separation from mothers and the transition into adulthood. A male dancer wears a full body costume, often with skirts, scarves, and wooden breasts, and performs with controlled elegance, engaging women through movement and song to honor mothers and model idealized womanhood.
Today, Chokwe masks are widely collected and displayed in museums worldwide. A Mwana Pro mask even appears on the 50-franc banknote in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
So, which mask or masquerade should we explore next?
Support the preservation of a vital cultural tradition. Vodou faces erasure and misrepresentation in today's world. Your support ensures Vodou's future and cultural integrity. Help preserve this vital culture today.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Inspired by National Voodoo Day in Benin and led by local Black community members, New Orleans International Voodoo Day is a day of collective remembrance and spiritual reparation that is preceded by a symposium, an Afro-ecology exhibit, and includes a procession to the monuments of sites of enslavement in New Orleans, ritual to account for and seek an absolution for the city's and the country's participation in the institution of slavery. Homage to those ancestors who suffered through and survived the transatlantic slave trade, an honor and appreciation for the achievements of those who came out of the oppression. 2 days, Saturday, May 23rd, 2026, Sunday, May 24th, 2026. 2 days of education, creative expression, elevation, cultural exchange, and above all, healing through authentic Vodou traditions handed down through generations. We offer a path to healing from the ongoing ramifications of slavery and racism in the United States. We continue to invite your support, your participation, volunteership, donations, and certainly your sponsorship by visiting us at www.vodouday.org, www.vodouday.org. There you will also find a direct link where you may donate and gift us by way of our GoFundMe page and account for New Orleans International Voodoo Day. And we certainly are grateful for your continued support and participation by way of this 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday podcast on a social media platform near you. We're certainly thankful for our Facebook listenership. We are grateful for our international listenership by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, and certainly Instagram. And we're always grateful for those who do show up and participate with us here live in the chat. Greetings to our faithful community member, Daniel Neal. Greetings and salutations to you and yours, Nina Lloyd. And please do, for all those listening in social media, do please click like, follow, share, reshare the post, and invite others to this powerful platform, but also to this powerful, powerful coming event. Before I move forward, I just need to say today we had a very special day in the New Orleans City Council where we voted on the acquisition of funding to begin to really move forward on the rehabilitation and rebuilding and redesign of Armstrong Park Municipal Auditorium, certainly Congo Square. And it afforded me an opportunity to certainly thank our city council for their participation and support of this powerful event now in our third year. Certainly to Freddie King, Councilman Freddie King, and to our new former council person and now new mayor, Mayor Morel. I'm sorry, Mayor Moreno. So we certainly do appreciate that opportunity to connect in City Hall to continue this legacy moving forward. And tonight, we want to continue our ancestral discussion, speaking specifically tonight about working with the ancestors. Working with the ancestors. When we speak of working with the ancestors, we are not speaking of ghosts, nor shadows, nor distant memories trapped in the past. We are speaking of a living current, an unbroken river of spirit that begins in the red earth of Ouida, Benin, flows through the kingdoms of West Africa, crosses the waters of the Middle Passage, and rises again in the streets, the cemeteries, the porches and stoops, the altars of New Orleans and the diaspora. To work with the ancestors is to step into the river with intention, humility, and responsibility. It is to recognize that the dead are not gone, they are transformed. They are not silent, they are speaking. They are not powerless, they are active participants in our lives, our destinies, and our communities. The motherland, where indeed the lineage begins, in Ouida, in Obami, in the Voudon temples of Benin. The ancestors are not abstract. They are honored daily. They are fed. They are consulted. They are remembered by name, by lineage, by clan. In the shrines of the Egungun, the dead are not only invoked, they arrive. They come dancing, masked, veiled in cloth and power, carrying the authority of the lineage on their backs. When the Egungun steps into the circle, the living step back because the ancestors have taken the floor. Working with the ancestors in the motherland is a communal act. It is not a private whisper, but a public declaration. We know where we come from. We know who walks with us. We know who built the path beneath our feet. Offerings of palm oil, cornmeal, gin, cola nut, and water are not mere gestures. They are contracts. They say, we remember you. Continue to remember us. And across the Middle Passage, the ancestors who endured when our people were forced onto ships, chained into darkness, stripped of name and nation, the ancestors did not abandon them. The spirits crossed the water too. Some came as protectors, some came as mourners, some came as warriors, some became new ancestors in the depths of the Atlantic, joining the great collective of the water dead, those who did not survive the crossing, but whose spirits rose with fury and compassion to guide the generations that followed. Working with the ancestors in the diaspora means acknowledging this truth. Not all of our ancestors died in peace. Not all were buried within the ceremony. Not all were honored in the ways they deserved. And so when we pour a libation today, when we call their names today, when we light candles and speak prayers, we are not only honoring them, we are repairing a wound. We are restoring dignity. We are giving rest to those who were denied it. In Haiti, Brazil, in the Caribbean, the West Indies, the ancestors reborn in new forms. In Haiti, the Gede stand at the crossroads between life and death, laughing, dancing, mocking, healing, and reminding us that death is not an ending, but a transformation. In Brazil, the Puerto Viejos, old black spirits, sit with pipes and wisdom, offering guidance born from suffering and resilience. Across the Caribbean, the ancestors appear in masquerades, in possessions, in dreams, in divination, in the quiet moments when the veil thins and the heart opens. These traditions teach us that working with the ancestors is not uniform, it is adaptive, it is creative, it is shaped by the land, the language, the struggle, and the survival of each community. But the core remains the same. The dead walk with the living, and the living carry the dead in the very DNA coded ancestral memory that survives in our blood. In New Orleans, where the ancestors walk in the streets, the ancestors are everywhere. They are in the second lines where the brass band lifts the dead into celebration. They are in the cemeteries where tombs rise like cities of stone. They are in the altars of hoodoo workers, in the candles of voodoo temples, in the Mardi Gras Indians who mask not for entertainment, but for remembrance, resistance, reverence. To work with the ancestors in New Orleans is to understand that death has never been a barrier here. The city breathes with spirit. The air is thick with memory. The rituals, whether African, Haitian, Creole, or indigenous, blend into a living tapestry of ancestral presence. Working with the ancestors is not superstition. It is a discipline. It is a relationship. It is maintenance. It is love. And across the motherland and the diaspora, the practices share common threads: altars and shrines, a dedicated sacred space with photos, names, candles, water, offerings, a place where the living and the dead meet. Offerings, food, drink, smoke, flowers, or items the ancestors enjoyed. Offerings nourishing the relationship and acknowledge their continued role. Prayer and invocation, speaking their names, calling their spirits, asking for guidance, protection, clarity, or intervention. Divination, the usage of cowries, cola nuts, bones, cards, or dreams to receive messages and direction. Masquerade and possession, allowing the ancestors to speak through the body, to dance, to correct, to bless, to heal. Storytelling, keeping their histories alive so they are not forgotten. And most certainly, service, living in a way that honors their sacrifices and fulfills the dreams they could not complete. These practices are not about worshiping the dead, they are about partnership. The ancestors are elders in spirit, they are advisors, they are protectors, they are witnesses to our lives. And as I draw to a close today, the opening, the purpose and why we work with the ancestors is because, first and foremost, we know the paths. We work with the ancestors because they know the paths and they have worked it. They have suffered, triumphed, learned, and transformed. They see what we cannot. They connect us when we stray. They strengthen us when we falter. They open roads that are blocked and they close roads that are dangerous and do not mirror our best interests. They remind us that we are never alone. To work with the ancestors is to understand that our lives are not isolated events. We are chapters in a story that began long before we were born and will continue long after we are gone. We are the living continuation of their prayers, their struggles, their aspirations, their victories, and their unfinished work. So, again, in closing, the living and the dead walk together. From Ouida to Haiti to New Orleans, from the shrines of Voodoo to the altars of Hoodoo, from the Egungun to the second line, the message is the same. The ancestors are present, they are active, they are invested in us. And when we honor them, when we listen, when we maintain the relationship, we become stronger, clearer, more rooted, and more aligned with our destiny. Working with the ancestors is not a performance, it is a commitment, it is a daily practice, it is a sacred responsibility, and it is a blessing, one that has carried all people across continents, across centuries, across every storm we have ever faced. And as I please unmute you, my beloved godson and second priest, and our executive producer of Respective Voodoo, our coming docu-series, beloved Tyson Horn, please do unmute and come on in. First priest, armor bearer, Black Hawk Voodoo Cloudman, both initiated members of this force, for as well as House of Divine Prince Tyson Horn and Brother Joshua Allen Tanner. Please do come on in. And our beloved Queen Mother Sister Martinez, community activist, community mother, community educator. Certainly, we appreciate all of your time and commitment to this platform. Good evening, divine all blessed. What say you?
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone on the panel and in the listening audience?
Good evening. Good evening.
I've noticed in the city, some of the rituals of respecting the dead, people have forgotten and don't practice anymore. The respect that this city used to give our dead, such as the funeral processions. When the funeral procession passed down the street and you was outside, you stopped whatever you was doing. Some people made the sign of the cross. Some people turned their back. That's what me and my mama did. The men took off their hat. I understand men don't wear fedoras and hat and caps like they used to, other than baseball caps. You did not dare cross a funeral procession because that meant some bad luck for you. You did not get in between the cars of a funeral procession. All of that is gone. All of that is gone. Is no more respect for the funeral procession. And I think it's largely due to a lot of people, gentrification in our culture. A lot of people who were young when Katrina happened and have came back to the city and they don't know our traditions and our cultures. You literally, if you was trying to cross the street and a funeral procession was riding up, you had to wait. You had to sit there and wait until they passed. My dad would be in the car and take off his hat, make the sign of the cross and bow his head. And you had to, nowadays you don't even know who all in it. The people turn their headlights on and let you know they're part of the funeral, but that doesn't matter. People get cut in front of them. And recently a lady killed the Jefferson Parish motorcycle officer who was guiding a funeral procession into the cemetery on Airline Highway. A lot of our cultures with the dead and the respecting of the dead, they going away because undoubtedly nobody not passing them on to them. I haven't been in the presence of any of my grandchildren when a funeral procession passed to see how they react, but I'm gonna have to verbally just explain it to them because it's totally out of control the way we do our funeral processions now. And that's my take on our culture. Just, we need to keep up with our culture. It was reasons why we did those things, the respect of the dead. I mean, I don't think there's no city in the United States that pay as much homage and respect to the dead as New Orleans did. And that is leaving. And as much as we need to keep our culture bearers, the Black Mexican Indians, the second line clubs and stuff, honoring our dead is also part of our culture that we need to keep up with. What say you, Brother Tyson?
Sorry, sis, I was on mute. Yeah, it's funny that you was mentioning just the processions. I was just looking up, I was just trying to look up the exact name. First and foremost, I want to say it's good to be back. I missed you guys. And but I was just in Paris, and I was at the I'm gonna mess it up if I say it, but it's a big cemetery that I had to visit as part of the the documentary that we're working on as well. We went over there to visit a gravesite, and when you go into some of these, and then New Orleans is very much the same with the cemeteries and especially the tombs that are the raised tombs and everything like that, and the mausoleums that they have there. It was just something about being in a cemetery that's like over hundreds of years old, and seeing how the reverence in some of the final resting places for many people. And it's just it made me think about the fact that, like, our family a lot of times, I wish that I had more of that type of connection with my ancestors and everything like that, as far as like where they are buried, or where everybody is. Like, I don't even know where a lot of my ancestors are. So, through the ancestral shrine that I have now, and the photos that I have there, and through teachings and what divine princes have helped me to learn, it's like my ancestor altar is like one of my only ways to reconnect with my ancestors, because my family didn't have, some of those grave sites, they had a lot of money, of course, because they're built out of marble and all these different type of things. But it's like, for the people that don't have these elaborate resting places, it's like that ancestral altar sometimes is the only thing I have left to reconnect with our ancestors. So, that's one of these are the emotions and thoughts that's coming to mind while listening to you talk tonight. Brother Josh, you on there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, bro.
Welcome back, Tyson, and Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess I'm speaking from my experience from ancestral worship. I know my family well, I know pretty much where everybody in my family has been buried, but
Mm.
has been passed on. I guess I'm fortunate to know that, given the fact that we live in a city called New Orleans, Louisiana, where a lot of people, a lot of things has happened here. Um, a lot of catastrophes, natural disasters that has caused tombs to be uh, moved around and shifted around and everything else. So the idea of having your own ancestral altar like you do have, Tyson, I think that's I mean, that's a good thing. At least you have something to go to and to gather your. Uh, but it question. I got a question for you because I never
Hmm.
had that issue. So for me,
Hmm.
how did you begin doing that? Like, how did you start doing that?
The altar.
Yeah,
Um,
like,
honestly,
or was it anything personal? Did you
it,
utilize any personal things to approach it with, or
yeah. Well, so you know, there was always I've always had something, some type of, area that was dedicated to the memory of my father and my grandmother and so forth, or whether it be different things that they had, like different articles, like my father's glasses or his, and he loved to play golf, so I have some his golf balls. Or my mother, when she passed away, she would she was into certain colors and so forth, and she loved elephants, and so there was always little things that I had to represent them and to remind me of them, and my other relatives as well. And we moved around a lot because coming from New Jersey and down to Florida and
no?
all over the place, so there's a lot of moving around and a lot of spread out relatives all across the United States
No.
and Europe. But so I just didn't. It wasn't until I got with the Divine Prince to um, he showed me how to serve them, if you would, or how to acknowledge them, pour libations for them, whether it be the coffee or whether it be the hard liquor or water even, or what types of things, even to teach me certain things, like if I'm pouring libations for them, then I'm taking that libation as well. And it's
No.
like it's more of a communion type of thing where and it's funny I mentioned that word communion because growing up in church, there's always the communion, you know what I'm saying? You got the cracker and you got the little, the little juice and everything. And so we
The
do it.
body and the blood.
We would always do it, but it's even there. But I guess is, you know, even doing it growing up in the church, when you're doing it out of, in remembrance of me type thing, it's like, having that sit down where it's now to the point where I'll sit down and just sit and try to be present. And so and then I'm looking at their photos, and and so that the altar went from a small thing to a little bit bigger table, but it just represents who they were to me, and
No.
it represents my reflection of them, and then I could see their images looking back at me. So a lot of times it's hard not to get emotional when I'm there because I can hear them talking to me in my head, in from their
Yeah.
voices of, you know, my dad might be saying, you got this son, or my mother, just uh, the words that they would say would resonate in my head when I'm sitting there and being quiet. So
Yeah.
that's when Divine Prince talking about it's a daily thing. That's something that
Yeah.
I've learned that is more important. So that's my little thing, bro. It's like in the past,
Definitely.
4 or 5 years is really elevated.
That's it.
I
I hear
also
you.
teach that your shrines are organic, almost like watering a garden and growing plants. indeed should grow to some extent, particularly when your shrine spaces are active and worked with.
Yes.
Yeah, mine started off with pictures of my mother and father in a small space with flowers and incense. And then as more of the family, when I discovered all the family that I did have and finally had a picture of my birth mother, her picture went there with theirs. And it gets bigger because then I want to add the African drum, and I want to add this, and I want to add this type incense holder. And I have a menorah on mine that has the Star of David in there, and I have other candles, and it grows. And then I add more pictures, and my husband is now there, and some more family members that have crossed over. And I still have more family members to put on there, but I don't have the room right now because my table takes up a whole wall, and it's them ran out of space.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You know, my table is what they would call like a long sofa table. It takes up my
Mhm.
whole back wall, and
Yeah.
I
That
have
organic.
flowers on it and artifacts and statues, African statues, and
Oh yeah.
it's just totally grown. I need more space.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And
my
certainly
next thing
when
would be a cabinet so I could go up, because I
Mhm,
don't have no more floor space. Something like a curio cabinet
mhm.
to bring it up.
Divine Prince,
But
what would you say? What would you say to, like, um, when it comes to, like you said, it's organic. It evolves over time. Um, is there something special that one should do when maintaining the ancestor altar, as far as cleaning it, or not letting it get dirty and things like that? Because I know you've talked to me about that, but I just wanted to hear how you worded it again.
If you're interacting with your shrine, it doesn't get dirty. It shouldn't be collecting dust. And dependent on the path, the tradition in which you are initiated in, instructed in, there's often something for you to do, if not every day, at least every 4 days, as it relates to your sacred spaces. Certainly, we, support, ritual cleaning your space in general. But certainly, uh, there should be, enough activity going on in that relationship, uh, that you shouldn't be, developing dust on your shrine. And when we say working, with the ancestors too, they're not, workhorses either, or being, woken up and commanded to sort of do our bidding. So there is indeed a degree of humility and respect, on both sides of the relationship that must be, governed in order to move forward in a healthy way in terms of doing ancestral work. Certainly, when I'm in distress or in between, um, I do a little more for my ancestors. But I've often said that, my maintenance of my shrine space is a direct reflection of their maintenance in my life, their blessings in my life, their effects in my life. We certainly wouldn't do it if it didn't work. Um, I believe you asked almost anyone within our community, they would suggest they wouldn't do it if they felt they did not have evidence of its effectual impact on their lives and on the lives of those around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
But I certainly,
arranged the pictures on my altar like seating arrangement. I didn't put the picture of my husband next to my adopted mom and dad because I know they wouldn't have liked him. I put his picture next to my birth mother because she had a thing for Spanish men. That's my thing. I'm not gonna put this one next to this one because the ones that's on my altar, I do know their attributes. And I was like, no, they wouldn't have got along. So I'm gonna put this one over here. And that's how I set my altar up.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Now I remember, Devon, we talked about that. Just, you know, if your altar's all dirty and dusty and not kept up, then that's usually probably your life state. Sometimes, you know, you can look as a direct reflection of how you might be doing or feeling. Is because, you know, it's like you said, if it didn't work, if you didn't, you know, if it wasn't working, then why would we do it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And why would we often sacrifice the space? Certainly, we might have a little bit more space here in the good old deep South, but you know, people in the community in New York and New Jersey and DC and Chicago, even when I was still living up north and found myself in very limited living quarters, I often dedicated, you know, more than 65% of the space to the ancestors. Uh, Not to the Loa necessarily or the Orisha, you know, or even to my own personal taste and aesthetics, but indeed to the ancestors.
It's
So I'm
funny that the
grateful.
reason why I laughed about Prince is because I was just down in the basement and looking at the area, and I was like, "There's you know, the ancestral area is pretty much like you said, it's about 60% of a room." And I'm like, "Man, I'll have so much more room if I was moving." I'm like, "Nope, can't do it." It's just like it just that's their space, you know. And it's that's it, and you really see it that way and live that way. And I know you do that because you dedicated your whole home to, you know, your whole home is a shrine.
And another thing I'm fickle about, don't touch my ancestor altar. I have a lot of whatnots, and I know a lot of people, especially their kids, and they see different things and they want to come pick up on them and touch them and ask what it is. I only let one other person touch my altar, Carmen. She'll come in, she'll put offerings on the altar because she understands what it is and what it means to me. And she's like family also, so I let her touch it. But even my own children know not to touch my altar, and my grandchildren and my adult children know. Someone had a child came over and they touched it and knocked something over, and it made my youngest daughter so angry. Oh my God, she was so angry. She was like, don't bring them over here no more. They don't know how to act anyway. You don't go at people's house. Oh, she was gone. You know how she is, Ty, when she gets started. And she was highly, I don't even touch my mama altar. I was like, oh, it's a little child. It's a little child. They don't know. So let's just clean it up and refresh it. But yeah, be careful who you let
Yeah,
touch your ancestor altar.
I've had to correct people where, you know, they might have a glass in their hand and they think that, oh, they could, so, you know, when it was more in the main living area space. Now it's downstairs in my downstairs area. But I've had to say to my brother one time, like, hey man, what you doing? Like, you putting his glass on the altar, and can't you see that that's something a little different? And then they, oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry, you know, that type of thing. Sometimes people just know.
Yeah.
And indeed, we will perhaps attempt to conclude this topic on tomorrow night when we discuss ancestral offerings, feeding the ancestors, pouring libations to the ancestors, and why we do it, how we do it, and variations of the practice throughout the
Perfect.
diaspora. And we're always appreciative of those who show up and participate by way of our Facebook pages, groups, and profiles. Certainly, our international listenership by way of LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, and we're always thankful and appreciative of our Instagram listenership and participation. Greetings and salvations to you and yours. YNA Fit, McKinney, I wasn't quite sure how to pronounce that, but thank you so much for coming through, Teddy Blanks official. We certainly do appreciate you, Hero Hotep. Greetings and salutations to you and yours. Marcus Costley, we certainly appreciate you. Sweet, Sweet Zerus, thank you so much for coming through. Anticloak, greetings and salutations to you and yours. We certainly appreciate you coming through. Melodramatic 8, greetings and salutations. Spirit Doula 29, we certainly do appreciate you. OS Drugstore Caseros, greetings and salutations to you and yours. And again, we invite your continued support and participation uh, by way of a platform near you or by way of the QR code located in the top right, no, the top left corner of your screen. And we invite you to join us again tomorrow night and weeknights at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a platform near you. And we again continue to invite your support, participation, donations, volunteership, sponsorship as it relates to our third annual New Orleans International Voodoo Day. Visit us at www.vodouday.org, www.voodooday.org. And be mindful, our next upcoming new moon ritual prayer and application ceremony will occur on Wednesday, March 18th, in the zodiac sign of Pisces at 6:30 p.m. at 710 Clouet Street, located in Clouet Gardens here in the Bywater neighborhood. It is a ritual spiritual warfare gathering and application ceremony. And we invite you to come out and participate and join us, regardless of your path or your tradition. We invite you to come out and contribute to this powerful event. And we look forward to meeting you here again on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time. And until then, divine all blessed peace and love to you and yours. Good night and Odabo.
Dabo, Divine Prince, I saw you on the news at the city council meeting.
Well, all is a blessing. Give thanks.
Yes, I saw you there. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Good night, y'all.
Hello, Gambia. Hear me out. Today we will be talking about top 5 masquerade in the Gambia. Are you set? Let's go. Number 5. Mamampara. Mamampara is a scary coastal masquerade shared by different Gambian communities. It represents female power and protection, and though the spirit is female, it is always worn by a man. Number 4. Hunting Devil. The tribe Aku or Creole. This one comes out mostly during Christmas and Carnival time. It is called the Hunting Devil. Playful but scary. It is part of Aku culture in Banjul, and it is meant to entertain and also keep kids in check. Number 3. Zimba. The tribe Wolof. Zimba is the lion masquerade of the Wolof. It moves with strength and pride, showing power of warrior spirit. You will see it in national parades and festivals. It always grabs attention. Number 2. The Kumpo. Tribe Jola. Covered in palm leaves from head to toe. This is Kumpo. The Jola people believe he is a spirit of peace, unity, and protection. He doesn't talk, he doesn't fall, and you can't touch him. Number 1, the final one, Kamkurang, the tribe Mandinka. The most feared and respected, the Kamkurang. He comes out to protect boys during initiation, enforce discipline, and keep evil eye away. Recognized by UNESCO, this is more than culture, it is sacred. Each of these spirits still walk our street during special moments. Which one have you seen in your village or town? Drop a comment, let us know.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees, it's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, "You only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise." Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.